Hello, welcome back to another pen talk. Thanks for tuning in. The journey continues. This is a pen that at least one viewer, if not more, has recommended that I should take a look at. So I have. I'll take it away from the Buddha. So this is a Hero. It's a nice logo there at the top of the clip. Around the cap band, we see the identifier of 565. Nice chased lines on that cap. Functional clip, nice and stiff, but still workable. I don't know whether it's spring-loaded, but it feels like it could be. Just a very classic shape, a little bit thicker than most Chinese pens of this style. Basic pull-off cap, and we'll see a classic section with a nice little piece of inlay there to show you where the nib is, and that's always good. It's a hooded nib. Seems to have some nice tipping material on the end of it, so it'll be interesting to see how that lays down ink. A lot of the hooded nibs, both the original 51s and other ones that have emulated them, a lot of them are a little bit too fine for my taste. Yeah, a nib like this is not going to be flexible, so you're really dependent upon how that nib feels on paper for your writing experience. But this is a girthy pen. It fits fine in the hand, unposted, and as one would expect, it posts very deeply, very securely, and probably makes the pen feel a little bit better because it adds a little weight to it. Not that the pen is light, but you know, it just does good and it balances good in the crooks of the hand. So overall, ergonomically, they did a nice job. You can hold it anywhere, but you're going to have to enjoy a little bit of a bigger section than most pens. So here's three Chinese pens that I would compare, with the 565 here in the middle. Here's that another classic, from Hero, the 336. This is thinner, which is more typical of the diameter of most pens of this nature. Same type of pull-off cap. We have a little bit of a different type of metal inlay there in the section. The section is a little bit thinner, but the way it feels in the hand is very similar. It posts very deeply and very securely, so that's how that one stacks up. This one is a 666, and it's considered a calligraphy pen. It certainly has a lot more weight to it. There's more metal in it. And we see a similar type of inlay there in the section. Again, a pull-off cap, but this weighs, I would guess, a good 10 grams more than the other two pens. And like the other ones, it fits well in the hand, unposted. And if you want to post it, it doesn't post as deeply, but it certainly posts securely. And this one, I feel the weight of that cap certainly backweights the pen a little bit more than I can enjoy. And this section is probably smaller, on the small side, considering the weight of the pen. So ergonomically, I consider this pen the least popular of the group. It does have an interesting little bent nib there at the end, which I guess is why it's called a calligraphy pen. So if we just compare these two classics, the 336 on the bottom and the 565 on the top, those sections are definitely different. And you can definitely see the size difference, which is considerable. I think we need to ink up the 565 and see how that nib performs. It's only fitting with the Hero pen that I use my Hero Super Ink. The other thing that's nice about this ink is it comes in a vintage style bottle. And it just says Hero writing ink on it. This is a very intense black ink. But I'll leave those of my educated viewers to recognize this ink bottle. So I filled up the pen with the Hero Super ink. I didn't show the inside, so here they are. It's that ubiquitous push filler, vacuumatic filler. You know, there's a silicone sac in here which should have a long life to it, and you have to push this bar down a number of times with the nib in ink, and I'd say I did it about 20 times, and I slowly saw the ink level rise up, and eventually the ink level reached its highest point, and when I pushed down the bar I heard no more air come out, and then I knew I had a full fill. So this is a black ink, which is what I wanted in the pen. I need to replace my daily writer, and I love a nice black ink, and the chromatography shows it's just black. I mean, that's it. And what's really nice is it's pretty water resistant. Here it is dried, and there's no movement whatsoever. So I think I got the right ink in the pen. Now let's see how that nib puts that ink down on paper. So before we write, we'll give you weight. We'll give you some dimensions. You know, one may say this has some similarities with the Sheaffer PFM, Pen for Men. And I'd say similar, but certainly there's enough differences here. If you look inside the cap, there's an excellent cap liner that fully protects and seals against the section. So I expect this nib to stay wet for long periods of time. And the capping system feels good. You push it down and eventually it stops. You feel increased resistance. And that same feeling comes about when you post. So it really is a great everyday pen from at least an ergonomics viewpoint. Let's see how it puts down ink. So with pens and with a lot of things, I'm a great believer in first impressions, and as soon as I inked this up and touched nib to paper, I was very happy. I mean, this is smooth. You get nice feedback. It's certainly wet. And this is a pretty fast drying ink, so it is wet. And with this black ink, it lays down a very black line. It's easy to color in. I haven't tried reverse, but let's see how that looks. A little scratchy, but I could smooth that out with some micro mesh. And it is a little bit finer line, so those who think that the writing approach produces a fairly heavy medium line. So if you need a finer line, you can do reverse writing. So let's rate this pen. I'm going to give it a 9.2. 2 checks for the writing and 1 check for ergonomics. Let's look at the details. So for design, it's going to get 2.5 checks. It doesn't knock anything out of the ballpark, but the design for a pen is pretty much spot on for those that enjoy this type of section and hooded nib. Engineering, I'm also going to give it 2 checks. I mean, it's not perfect, but it certainly is functional and everything works the way it should. And for the build, it's also going to get 2 checks. You know, again, everything is okay from these perspectives, but where it really shines is in the writing. It's 3 checks plus. So I think the writing is excellent. The look, I'm going to give it 3 checks for looks because it's the classic look. You know, silver and black. How can you go wrong? And for value, it's also going to get 3 checks and a plus. So that's how I came up with my 9.2. Overall, I'm very happy with this pen. I'm glad my viewers recommended it. It's not a pen I probably would have bought if it wasn't for viewers suggesting it. So we've reached the end of this video, so thank you for watching. As I try to write at the bottom of the paper over the tripod, not the easiest thing to do. So may you have many great writing experiences and find a pen that you just enjoy writing with, or drawing with, or doodling with. So we've reached the end of this video, and we're going to say bye until the next video, and that is one super smooth nib, lays down in a nice line. For those of you that may not have recognized the bottle, it is that, some people call it a Grail ink, the Parker Sapphire ink. And what's nice about this ink was when I bought it, it was $7.16 a bottle from Pearl Paint. Those of you that may have lived in the city back in the 70s and 80s may have visited Pearl Paint, but they had a great fountain pen store inside and they did great pricing. Yes, it was a Parker Penman ink. And they really promoted it. It crazed my Pelican M800 green transparent pen, which was one of the first limited edition pens that I bought. And I bought it at Pearl Paint. It was certainly done in the international tradition, which was popular back in those days when fountain pens were a writing instrument of choice from many people.